Okay. Hey guys, what's up? Evil Zombie here. Just double checking my recording over there because this one seems to be skipping on me for my, what's it called? My camera, my preview. Okay, so I'm just going to forget about the preview because it's not working. Anyways, welcome. Besides the point, I'm going to do a tier. I'm going to do a listing of the best Resident Evil games to the worst Resident Evil games because I have played almost all of them. I will only rank the ones... Well, let's see, I have seen all of Village, but I've not gotten to play it myself. Because my copy won't load. It won't work. I've tried everything. And Capcom is not responding to me, so fuck them. Yeah. I've been waiting a while for the response. I sent them video. I sent them descriptions. I sent them my diagnostics. Nothing. No response. They have no idea probably how to fix it. I sent them the model number for the cables attached to my monitor. I sent them everything. Like, they cannot tell me that there's any information missing. They have everything about my computer, and they know everything. So if they can't fix it, I don't know. Anyways, it's nice and ordered. It's in order. Mostly in order. It's okay. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about my personal ranking of all the Resident Evil games. From the very best, grade S, perfect games, absolute wonders of their time, all the way down to ones that we wish never got made because they suck. So, let's jump into this. I'm just going to work my way over, I guess, all the way to the end. Let's just grab Resident Evil 0. So, this one, I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought it was a very good game. It was a lot of fun. It explored new ideas, new ways to play, new territories. It had a very interesting gameplay mechanic, and you didn't have an item box anymore. And it really kind of added to the fear because you didn't just have your stuff safe in a spot. You had a very limited inventory. It really doubled down on limited inventory. But it was really cool. The storyline was a little bit out there. But it was a fun game. It looked gorgeous. But that's because it was using the same engine and same techniques as the game as Remake. But honestly, since the story was so what the hell at first, and it was kind of lackluster, like, you forget about Billy Cohen so quickly after you've finished playing the game. You don't care about him that much. I mean, he has a sad backstory, and they just never touched on him again. I don't know what was up with that. And Rebecca is a side character. It's her game, and she still feels like a side character. And that's not a good thing. So I'm rating it as a solid B. Solid B. I'm gonna move it. Oh, that's probably fine. Okay. So that's a solid B for me. Moving on. Remake. Oh, this is gonna be S-class. This is perfection in Resident Evil. It's exactly what we all wish they would just do with every Resident Evil title. Not change anything. Hold on. Something beeped. Okay, I'm back. So, basically, Resident Evil Remake for the GameCube was what we consider absolute perfection when it comes to remaking a game. For the reason of it staying completely true to the original one, but making every single aspect of the entire game better in every single way. It didn't ruin anything. The only thing that we wish was still there was the live action parts, but better. But they fixed a lot of the bad voice acting, and it was great. The lighting was fantastic. The backgrounds looked almost photorealistic. And this was the game that got me started personally on Resident Evil. This is the one I bought when I was 16 years old, and that was my first Resident Evil game. It was so good. I was playing on my GameCube, and I loved everything about it. It was so wonderful. The fear is there. The atmosphere is dripping with terror on some parts, and you will not know true fear until you have beaten the game and started playing it again, and then you unlocked one dangerous zombie, which was a zombie that has grenades strapped to him. You cannot attack him. If you do, mansion blows up, you die. And he runs. He runs at you. Oh, the running zombies, the Crimson Heads. That added a whole new layer. That was one of the things that I am so happy. Everyone loves that they changed because sure they suck, but it made the game that much better and terrifying because you had no idea. Every single zombie in the game at some point, if you didn't burn them, they would get back up and they would run. They didn't shamble anymore. They ran. So that puts that right up there for me on the top of the list. That one's a wonderful game. Okay. The original Resident Evil game. Now, my rating on this might be a little controversial. I'm not putting it in the S class, but I give this one a solid A. Honestly. Specifically, the game, the Nintendo DS version. I don't see that on here. No, the Deadly Silence or whatever. Yeah, Resident Evil Deadly Silence is the best definitive version. Oh, wait, nope, there it is. I see it. It's down here. So the original one, knocking that down to B. Okay, because the other one is on here. So that's the version I love the most. So this is a solid B then now. It was really good. It was a great game. It was a lot of fun. I didn't really have any complaints about it. Other than, well, no, the pacing was good too, but the acting was shite. The acting was absolute shite. It was so bad that would knock it down a grade, like from S to A right away. And then just the fact that all was scary for its time. It has not aged very well. There are several things that happened in later Resident Evil games you really would. I know it's influential. I'm not saying it's not. It's a great game. Like, the pacing is good, and the story is good, and all that was fantastic, and the combat was nice. All that was great, and that's why it's still a B, still a good game. But some things like the tank controls could have been tweaked. Resident Evil 2 improved on everything, and it made it way better. So that sits right at B for me. It's a nice even B. Since we're thinking about this, I'm putting this right up here. Oh, it's so close. I might put this up higher even. This is honestly, I have played this game so much. It's really close to perfection. It's so good. Like, budget aside, it's just the best definitive version of the original Resident Evil. Has extra modes, it has new things to do, but it has the entire original game and the most polished version of it in existence while staying just the flat-out vanilla original game. It's all balanced very nicely, and it just plays better than any other version. The music is great, the sound is good, everything is perfect. And I love it. I've gotten a really low time record on it. I have the rocket launcher, and I love it. But that is right up there on top. That is a great game, great replayability. It's not too long. You can beat it in under 2 hours, no problem. I think I got it down to like an hour and 14 minutes if I'm really crunching. But it's so good. I love this game. No, I think I got it down shorter than that. I've been speedrunning this game. I love it. Okay, moving on. Okay, I want to do the original Resident Evil 2 first. But before I talk about the remake. So, original Resident Evil 2. It was a very good game. It was a very good game. I set this right in A. Oh, yeah, I set it right in A. It was very well balanced. I played it a lot. 1 hour, 58 minutes. That was my record. I loved speedrunning it. It was a lot of fun. It was very well balanced, very, very good. Everything that the original one did, the original Resident Evil did. Am I recording my mouse? If not, everything that this one did better in every single way. There's nothing that's lacking, other than the fact that it didn't have a mansion, which was my favorite. Like, my favorite horror setting is a haunted mansion, mostly because as a kid I loved going to the haunted mansion ride at Disneyland. That was my favorite ride, you know? I can't tell if it's recording everything properly. I think it is. Because my preview over here is skippy and the other one over there is fine. I don't get it. Anyways, it was very good. There's very little wrong with this game. And depending on what version of it that you played, there's so many different things. I have the GameCube version, but I played it first on the N64 because that's what console I had. And I rented it. I remember that. I think that was Resident Evil 2. Yeah, pretty sure. But I have it on GameCube, and it's wonderful. It's a great game on the GameCube. That's like the best version of it, in my opinion. My humble opinion, PlayStation, the original one, is not the best version of this game. Go to the GameCube, that is the best version of a lot of these games. Moving on to the remake of Resident Evil 2. Just like the first one, this perfected so well and modernized without ruining the game the original game. It took it and it made everything better, but it didn't just update the graphics and the looks. It changed things for the better, like in every way. I actually might bump this one down just because I love the game, but that might just be personal preference. So it is very much still the original, so it might not, just the game, the cheesiness, all that, might not be S quality. But Resident Evil 2 Remake is a very, very successful remake. I mean, there's very little wrong with the game. And in my opinion, it's fantastic. It uses a great engine. Okay, Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. The original one. A lot of people didn't like this game. This is honestly one of my favorite Resident Evil games because it tried things different. This was supposed to be the direct sequel. This was going to be number 2? I think this was going to be number 2. That's why it used a lot of the same areas. It was either going to be number 2 or it was going to be number 3, but Code Veronica, I think, was going to be the other number 3, and it was 2 different teams, and this was the one that was ready first. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the story. Go check out one of the Resident Evil retrospectives. There's a channel I watched for it that had like a whole 8-hour thing. It was wonderful. I'll put a link in the description below so you can go check out their channel because it's great. You'll enjoy spending hours and hours reminiscing about all these games. Anyways, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis is one of my favorites. It's going right between here. There are several things wrong with it because it's a bit old. But it's a fantastic game, and it does as many things right, if not more things right with the controls than Resident Evil 2. But it's not exactly a horror game anymore. So it's kind of a horror game. It mostly works on panic instead of just scares and the atmosphere. The atmosphere is not as important to them in this one. So even though I personally love it, and I would like to put it in one of these two, I'm going to have to put it down here. Oh, and C is reserved for games that are very average. And D is bad. F is we wish it never got made. B is okay. It's an okay game. And I gotta put it up here. I love the game. It's really well done. It's a lot of fun. It's very enjoyable. It has just as much replay value as the other one. This one, Resident Evil 3 Remake. Now, I enjoyed the heck out of it, but it's not as good, I admit, it's not as good as much as I loved it as the original 3. It's nowhere near as good as the original 3 because it doesn't have the freedom. Sure, the original 3 was still very linear because they went for more of a cinematic experience, but not like the remake. I enjoyed it a lot, but there's not very much replay value because once you've seen everything, you have seen everything. There's nothing new for you to explore. It's basically just a one-off kind of game, and they do have things for you to do, but just unlock a better weapon, and by the time you get all of them, you've mastered it so much that it doesn't make a difference what weapon you use, because nothing's going to touch you the whole game. Like, a lot of times you can just run through everything. So, that one, I understand a lot of people think that's not a very good one, a lot of people hated it, but it's still a good, okay game for me. I loved the heck out of it my whole first run through, but after that I haven't played it because there's nothing new to do. So I'm putting that right, it's dead middle of the road for me. Okay, Resident Evil 4. I am very controversial with this one apparently because I have a very different opinion. As a horror game, I'd put it right down here in C. A lot of games are going to end up in B. This one I put in B. It's an okay game. It was a good action horror game. It was not a good Resident Evil game. As a Resident Evil game, it was not very much Resident Evil-y at all. It did its own thing very much so. It was very action-based, and it tore away from the genre in a way that we don't want to happen. Just as a game with all the gameplay, it was very well balanced, and it was a lot of fun. And I did play it a lot because it was a lot of fun. It was a good game. I speed ran it and did all kinds of stuff. But I still put it in the okay category. Because that could have been scarier. The original version that they were showing off at first was the version I wish they made. Because that was a scary version of it that was all haunted, ghosts, all that stuff. Oh, here it is. Resident Evil 5. That's a C. It's not a bad game by any chance. it's just not a good game. Well, as an action game, it's fantastic. It's a very good action game. As Resident Evil, that's going farther down on the bar. It's not Resident Evil. It has the characters from Resident Evil. It's basically Halo starring Resident Evil characters. Or Call of Duty Resident Evil. At this point, they're not even trying. There's no zombies anymore. Those are all long gone. You're not even thinking about Umbrella and all that stuff. It's just an action shooter. It's a great co-op fun game like that, but no. Okay, Resident Evil 6. This one, I enjoyed Leon's story, but not really any other part of the game. The rest of it was all action hero stuff. So Leon's story was fantastic. But Ada and Chris, I think, their stories were just not up to par. I mean, the game was gorgeous, and there were zombies, and I did love that. But I wouldn't rank it up with good games yet. It's either middle of the road or it's bad, and because only one game mode really caught my interest at all, and the rest of it was just a waste of time to me, they could have just doubled down on Leon's story and made the whole thing more of a horror game. The rest of it's all action-y, too Hollywood, and it just doesn't fit the genre at all. So I'm popping them right in C. We have another kind of bad game. It's not good anymore, or it's not good anymore. Okay, Resident Evil 7. I love the shit out of this game. This is so good. That's definitely S tier. It's so good. It's wonderful. Oh, that's good stuff, too. Okay, so Resident Evil 7 took the genre back to horror in a new way. What it did is, to me, this was so good. I jumped on the bandwagon a little late on that game, but I enjoyed the heck out of it. I had so much fun. And it was just a terrifying, good thrill all the way through in a new perspective. They updated it. They kept it in a first-person perspective, new engine. It was all 3D. And it felt very much like the original game, but new. Like the mood and the atmosphere were all the original Resident Evil. It keeps all the general tropes that you have in survival horror games, and it's very loyal to them. I'm very happy about that. And there's just very little that the game does wrong. It's a great game. There's lots of replay value in it. So jump on that, and the DLC's fun too. So that's awesome. Okay, Code Veronica X. This one I'm very middle of the road on. This one I rank it a solid B because it's a good game. It's a very good game. I enjoyed the heck out of it, but the game felt way longer than it needed to be. Like, it's a massive game, but most survival horror games, we want to have a certain length, and then you just want to be able to go through it in a certain way. This breaks the mold in that entirely, and it's more like a longer adventure. And it's more about exploration, and it feels a lot like Resident Evil 2 in almost every way. It just looks better. But there are some things they could have done better with the game, and to make it more replayable. And where's the thing that would have directly to do with that? That might be this one, no. There was another Gun Survivor game. I don't think they have it on here, unfortunately. Well, I have never played the original Gun Survivor, so I can't really rank that. Oh, wait, no, here it is. This one. Yeah. I enjoyed it a little bit, but the Gun Survivor games, yeah, they're just not that good. They're just not that good. Okay, I'm going to pop that down a little more. They're bad. They're just bad. They're not survival horror. They're kind of action with bad controls for a first-person shooter. Very bad controls, and that's unforgivable because I love FPS games. I like Doom, Unreal Tournament, all those things. And those just don't hold up for a first-person shooter, so I have to rank them low. Now, something that was a good first-person shooter. Let me pop that on up here. The Umbrella Chronicles and the Darkside Chronicles. Well, okay, I'm going to pop that down there. It's still good. It's still a good game, but I'll talk about it in a second. Umbrella Chronicles was fantastic. I loved it. It broke open a new world of Resident Evil for me where I got to explore everything again, but through a new perspective and run through it in an action shooter, and that was really cool. I loved everything about that, and it really utilized a lot of what that we could do. Okay, so Darkside Chronicles, it does all that stuff, and it does improve in a lot of things, but my wife can't play it because it has a shaky camera, and you move around way too much. Like, you can't aim at crap because you're moving around all the time. That's the only downside to it that knocks it down a notch. It's just true, that's what it is. Okay, where are you? Ah, there we go, Operation Raccoon City. A lot of people hated this game. To me, it was kind of like Resident Evil 4. It was just Resident Evil in a new perspective, but it was actually very well balanced, and it was fun. That's a very important thing. It was enjoyable, very enjoyable. A lot of people didn't like it because it was the first time they did something like this for Resident Evil, but to me, it was honestly a very fun, entertaining game. I played through it a couple times and had a just jolly old time with the game. It was a fun co-op shooter. This one shouldn't have been made. Sucks. Don't bother. I'm warning you, don't bother. And then while we're on the whole thing about, what's it called? Replayability and multiplayer games, this one's an okay game again, also. Resistance is decent. It's okay. It plays like Resident Evil 3, the remake, kind of, with the gameplay style, the controls, and all that. You know, like Phasmophobia, where it's a group-based horror game. It's like that, but you have one player that's the bad guy. They are Umbrella Corporation, and they are doing bad things to test out these players. And the players are your friends that you're trying to kill, and they have to survive. And that's basically the whole game. There's nothing else in the game. So it's a good middle of the road for me. Okay. I have not played Dead Aim, that version of Dead Aim, so I can't rank it. But this one, I actually played this, and I rank it literally right at okay. It's an okay game. It's not bad, but for a Game Boy game, my goodness, that was good. That's a very good Game Boy game. It's very in-depth. Like, this is an incredibly in-depth and bloody Game Boy game. You get to stab and shoot creatures in a first-person perspective. It has an interesting story that was okay enough. But, hey, it's better than the original game's storyline anyways. And it was portable. I couldn't play it on this Game Boy, but I could play it on something like Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and it was fun. It was a good game. That's a high-quality one. I highly suggest. Okay, Mercenaries 3D I have not played because I don't have a 3DS. Jumping over that, both the Outbreak games I have not played because I've never got those. My cousins had those ones. But okay, Revelations. I have played those. I rank both of these games a solid A. And I enjoy the heck out of them. It's been so long since I played them, but I remember enough about it where I just enjoyed it. It went back to horror. It was a scary game, and it had a storyline where they threw it in, but the storyline was kind of whatever, but it still was an entertaining for its own kind of self-captive thing it was like a side story. The blood was there, the fear effect, all the scares were there, the weapons were there, the combat control, everything. It played kind of like Resident Evil 5, so it was more action-based controls, but it was a lot of fun. Both of these games were very good to me. I enjoyed them, and I highly suggest them. You can normally get them very cheap at Halloween or any kind of big sale. Like, I don't think I paid more than $5 for like each game and all of its bundle stuff that comes with it. Okay, and that's literally all the ones I have played. I would rank Village. If I rank Village based on what I've seen, because I've seen the video, but I've not played myself. Like, I watched Markiplier play it, then I went back and watched Jacksepticeye play it. I would rank it a solid A. I would not put it in S tier, but I would rank it at least at a solid A. It was a good game. It was a very good game. A lot of great things going for it. But it just, I don't know, it seemed still too actiony, not scary enough. Outside the castle, Lady Dimitrescu's castle, after that, and the dolls. The dolls were a nice fear effect part. Those two parts were the most survival horror-ish. the rest was all action, and that just kind of lost me a little bit. But so that's why I wouldn't put it in S, but there's no denying it's a great game. So I got to rank it up to A. The other ones I have not played, so I cannot help you there. Someday I'll play those. Someday I'll get a 3DS. I will update someday. And someday, I know I got to play Outbreak. I don't know if the servers are up for that, because that was a multiplayer one, and I never got a chance to play that. So I don't know if that's possible anymore. I'll have to look that up, see if someone brought back servers. Anyways, guys, that's my list. I might do a couple more things like this, because I've seen this as a big trend on YouTube, and I've seen several people do this. But it was fun. I kind of want to do all the Godzilla movies ranked. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, guys, have a good one. I appreciate you. Y'all are awesome. Bye.